Hello, this is Juhani speaking from Inlumi. Let's wait 1 or 2 more minutes to go so everybody can join the presentation. And for information to everybody that if you have questions, please type your questions into the question box. We will then handle the questions at the end of the presentation. Okay, is it time to
Okay.
move on with the presentation?
Yes, let's start.
Let's start the presentation. So today we are having a presentation of CXO software. We have 2 people on the presenting side. Myself, Juhani Vantinen, I'm a country manager of Inlumi, and Alfonso Colanio. And Alfonso will be giving more presentation of himself a little bit. Next slide, please. So our agenda today, we will have a 30-minute webinar and a very small introduction of Inlumi and CXO software. And then we are going into our main challenge, the bridging the gap, EPM to reporting. So how to get the data from your EPM system, whatever EPM system you are using, and get a material to present, for example, to the board. We will discuss connecting different EPM systems to CXO, since Hyperion HFM is not the only system CXO works with. Then, of course, a very important part of the presentation today is CXO software live demo, and I think we will be using majority of our time with this one. And the last, questions and answers. And yes, if you have any questions, please type your questions to the question box so we can have them at the end of the presentation. Next, please. So one slide about the companies. I will take here Inlumi. Inlumi has been founded in year 2000. We are having our headquarters in Utrecht, Netherlands, actually in the same building as CXO. And we are providing in-house services of application consulting, infrastructure consulting, support services and hosting, advisory services and analytics. We are partnering with Oracle, OneStream and Tagetik, and we have offices on several Nordic and European countries. Alfonso, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Juhani. This is Alfonso Colanino. I work for CXO Software. We are a partner with Inlumi, and together I'm going to explain to you a little bit more about CXO and take you through the rest of today's webinar. So on the left-hand side of the screen, we can see a little overview of CXO Software. We were founded in 2007, and as Juhani said, we're actually located in the same building in Utrecht. We have an in-house product development of our software. The implementation team is actually based out of our Utrecht building. So if any of you guys on the call today is fortunate enough to purchase our software, then we would be using our team from that region, as well as Inlumi's guys to implement the products. Today we've got just under 100 customers. I have a slide to show you who some of those customers are using CXO. And just recently, within the last month, we've been acquired by a global software vendor from USA called Insight Software. And you can see the size of their revenue there in terms of US dollars. And combined, we'll end up with 5,500 customers globally. So in terms of resourcing and development of the product, we see a great potential for CXO to further enhance the strength of our solution for our customers. So let's move into the challenge of EPM reporting. So the image in the background of this particular picture is extremely important. It's the, let's say, the month-end report pack for the management, or the CFO's report pack required to see whether the strategic direction of the business is being maintained. And typically we see this as a printed document that could come from Excel, PDF, or PowerPoint. But there are three building blocks in terms of actually getting to this position. And the first one is on the screen, connecting to the data. How does the finance team get access to all the required financial data and non-financial data? And that's an area we will explore in a moment. The second part is, once having access to the data, it's then the production of the report pack themselves, bringing it together from all the sources of data into a format that is applicable for the audience. And then talking about the audience, it's once it's in the format required, it's what is the user experience in helping them make better informed decisions to steady the ship, take the organization in the direction of their choice. And so these are the key building blocks. And let's just dive into this a little bit further. So when we think about the traditional enterprise performance management reporting process, in a little bit more detail, we will see data stored in several systems. And on my screen, we can see now 3 examples of data stored maybe in a planning system, could be a consolidation system, maybe in an HR system for headcount, possibly even market share data, or health and safety data in Excel as well. And typically, if we think about the month-end process, even though there are EPM systems in place, they don't seem to be able to be adequate enough to support the reporting process. So the Office of Finance tends to extract the data into Excel. So in my example here, we've got 3 data dumps into Excel. The first task is to actually join those 3 pieces of data together into one Excel sheet. The potential for error is quite high. Then we've got the actual joining together of the report pack that exists from the previous month. And of course, then bringing forward any formula calculations in that report pack. Now, all of those people in the audience will be very aware of a report pack could be made up of 20 tabs or 20 pages in the report book. You may have several report packs because you've got different audiences you're creating this report pack process for. So not only are you joining together Excel sheets, copying forward calculations, you're making sure that's done for each report pack and also each tab within that report pack process. And then finally, once all of the formula calculations have done, you've now got the information which shows, okay, I've got my actuals and I've got my last month's, and I've got maybe a variance calculation, and it's telling me that now I have a chart, a cost maybe that's gone up by 3%. So the question is why? And that's where the commentary collection comes in. In order for the management or the senior executive level to take decisions on the output of this work, they need to have the reasons why the costs have gone up or the revenue's gone down and so on. And that's where a further process of collecting commentary tends to take place. And so again, more manual, phone calls, collections, etc. However, that whole process is being done currently as we speak for many organizations globally. The report pack is produced. It's generally then distributed by email. It's sent off to the recipients. And as the previous slide demonstrated, it's a static stack of paper, possibly a PDF, maybe a PowerPoint presentation. You can't drill into the information. It's not dynamic in any way. If the audience at that stage have further questions, they have no choice but to go back to the authors or back to the business. This process from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen could take maybe 10 days, maybe working day 10. Let's just say that as an average. So therefore, you close your books for the end of January, you're not going to have visibility of the report pack until working day 10 of the following month. That's 6 weeks later than the original 1st of January before you take a decision to actually improve the performance of your business. We need to speed up this process and reduce some of those errors. So CXO has been developed to actually resolve a lot of these individual challenges, that gap between the EPM system and month-end reporting. And just to put this whole screen, all the images onto the screen, we can see on the left-hand side of the screen, we've got 3 different kinds of data sources. Excuse me 1 second, I'm just about to cough. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. So on the left side of the screen, we have the EPM consolidation data coming in. We may have non-financial data or ERP data and also Excel data. All of those brought in to CXO using CXO connectors, which I will explain on the next slide. Once they're in CXO, then on the right side of the screen, you can see the features that we have created within CXO software to actually automate and reduce those errors, creating the calculations, to having drill down capability, commentary workflow, etc. And I will show you those in the demonstration in a couple of moments. So let's look at the connectivity. And on the screen now, we can see some of the leading enterprise performance management systems that CXO can connect to. Well, let's look at a little bit of detail as to how we actually do that connectivity. So first of all, we have a number of pre-built adapters, and they're listed on the screen in the blue box in the center. And you might spot some of your individual consolidation or planning systems listed here, whether it's Hyperion, HFM, the new PBCS, the cloud services from Oracle, or maybe even in the SAP world. But what CXO have done is we've spent time in developing a connector to each of these systems. So from day one, we can download CXO software to one of your servers and connect directly to your EPM system and read the data, the metadata, and all the hierarchical structures within those systems. It's unique. No other BI tool can do this. We've got the direct connections, and therefore you can have live connectivity of your data. The second part is then you may be looking at this list and think, well, we also have data in other systems too. And so we've developed 2 further capabilities. One is an Excel add-in, which allows the data from Excel to be added into CXO. So just to be very clear, this is data into CXO. This is not an Excel add-in where you can take data from CXO outside. I will explain how we do that a little bit later on. And the final one is using a technology that exists from Microsoft, which is Analysis Server Tabular. We've got a little ETL tool that allows us to pick up data from HR systems. So we've connected, and also ERP systems, CRM systems, maybe even sales systems. So some examples of where we've connected there, we've connected to Sage, accounts receivable systems, we've connected to Infor Sun systems for HR data and so on. So essentially you can bring in data from multiple sources into CXO. Once we actually connect to your data, it's essentially a case of just visualization. And we have 3 methods of visualization. The first one is straight out of the box. Soon as we connect to your system in that one day, you will want to use one of our 17 out-of-the-box finance templates. Now, what is a finance template? Well, it's typically what you would see in your report pack. It's a financial statement, it's a waterfall chart, it's a KPI documentation, it's a cash flow statement, and so on. If, however, those particular 17 are not the way that you go about your reporting, then we have the ability for you to create your own free format templates. You can make as many free-form templates as you wish. They're essentially blank screen. You will decide on where you would like to place the objects. An object could be a table, it could be a pie chart, it could be a graph, etc. You're basically building up the view of your landscape, of your dashboard. And then finally, CXO has just launched the CXO catalog. And these are industry best practice dashboards from all of our existing customers who wish to share some of the dashboards that they've designed. Of course, not the actual data, but the actual look and feel of those dashboards where they've spent time building their free format templates already. They share them into the catalog and therefore give access to the rest of the community. So you've got a further way of actually benefiting from the wider audience. I did say that I would share with you an example of some of those 100 customers we have. You can actually see some examples of the organizations globally. I guess in the Nordics region, you'll see Jotun right in the center there, the paint and chemical organization, Falk over in Denmark, the emergency services using CXO, and one or two others that you may recognize the names of. All of these are referenceable. You may already have contacts in some of these organizations, but I'm more than happy to set up those communications if you're interested in learning more about how they use CXO. However, in the Finnish region, it's one of our customers is Connais, and I imagine that the Finnish market would recognize this brand and be very proud of the Finnish brand of Connais. They've been a customer of CXO since 2013. They originally started with Hyperion Enterprise, and where I say started is you can imagine that organizations go through change in terms of their source systems of where they have their data, and so like any other organization, in a way we are agnostic to the data source. You can still use CXO on top of any system, but in this example, they started connecting CXO to Hyperion Enterprise, but then switched to SAP BW on HANA connector, and so that's where CXO sits on top of now on the SAP BW to CXO, and it's a group level led initiative. And as you can see here, we've given you some numbers of people who are using CXO for month-end reporting, almost 1,000 users across the Connais organization. A highly referenceable customer of ours, and we're quite proud to have that particular brand as part of our customer base. So we've got about 11 minutes left. I want to press on and give you a demonstration to leave at least 2 minutes for some Q&A at the end. So please don't forget, if you have any questions, type them into the question area. So just bear with me 1 second while I switch over to my demo environment. Okay, so I've switched over to my Chrome internet browser window. You can see that we've got a version of CXO in the cloud just for the purposes of demonstration. I don't know whether you spotted on my presentation, we are actually an on-premise solution. We can deploy it in the cloud if required, but if I dare say, of those 100 customers, I think we have around about 3 customers who are cloud solution. The majority of people tend to require the on-premise version. But this demo environment is sat in an Amazon server to give a good experience today. I'm just going to press F11 to fulfill the whole screen, just to make this a little bit clearer. That's all I've done is just increase the size of the viewing area. So I'm about to sign in. Yes, we can link to an Active Directory or single sign-on process that you may have, so that you don't have to log in this particular method each time. And when you sign into CXO, you're presented with a report page or a dashboard. Now, one of the key concepts of CXO is that, remember, we're sitting on top of your individual data. So therefore, we are connecting to the metadata and information. And so therefore this line at the top here, which is very important, this is what we call the point of view line. And this particular point of view line is connecting to your entity structure. And in my example here, I'm actually connected to an HFM data source, and the hierarchy is listed at the top of the screen. So we've got Comma Communications Inc. at the group level, and then there are a number of divisions below that you can see with further arrows to drop down further. So if you made any changes to your HFM system and you inserted let's say another division, because maybe you acquired a division, and that was inserted into HFM, it will automatically be visible here in CXO because it's just reading the entity structure from the underlying data source. Therefore, keeping your maintenance of CXO very, very low, and also providing the single version of the truth. You're not changing any numbers in CXO. This is not a planning tool. It's purely a visualization and commentary collection month-end report pack process. So this becomes the true version of the truth. At the top of the screen, we can see a number of folders, and this is where we store all of the individual dashboards. As you can see, as I click through each one, we've got lots of different dashboards available. When I see one that I'm interested in, I literally hover over the top of it, click on it, and then in the background, it will go away. It will fetch the data and it will present the information for you to see. I can then go back to my home page just by clicking this home button, and it will take me back to where I was. In terms of navigating the solution, well, as a BI solution, you would expect it to have the ability to explore the data further. And I can do by, for instance, let's say I want to expand direct costs. I can just click on this plus sign and drill down into the data a little bit further, as I'm doing now on the screen. If I wish to actually see more information regarding, for instance, professional services, I might wish to understand the difference between actual and forecast and not against budget. Well, I can change the category by just switching to the forecast, and therefore now we can see the data over here present the actual forecast information. I'd maybe like to drill down a little bit further. On the right hand side, I've got a table which is listening to the table on the left hand side. So in other words, it's currently looking at net sales because net sales is highlighted. If I click on professional services, we'll then see now that the table on the right hand side is showing me the information by entity for professional services. So you can make all of these adjustments depending upon how you wish to actually look at your information and what decisions you wish to take within your business. And then finally on the screen at the bottom, you can actually see the commentary collection process. And at the moment, we're looking at the point of view comments for the group level, which is Comma Communications Inc. at the top. But I can also see the comments for the subsidiaries below. So here, by clicking on this tab and just by expanding it down, we can see I can see the comments for Europe, Asia, United States, South America. So I can see the level below. And so therefore, if I can see the level below, that means I must be able to enter all this commentary at various levels. And of course, that is exactly what I can do. So just to show you how we do that, and then how we add it to a report book, I'm going to go to the report book feature, which is, over here on this storyboard feature. So I'm just hovering over this S. When I click on here, a new pop-up will appear. Now here, these are essentially collections of reports. These are your report packs. We call them storyboards because they're telling us an individual story. The one I'm interested in is this particular one here, the monthly management report pack. Now we can see that the front page is an image, which is really helpful when running a presentation or exporting the data to a PDF or Excel, etc., which of course I can export these 7 pages at any time by clicking on this export button, and it will allow me to drop the data and these 7 pages out. The second page is one called conditional line item comments, and we can see here we've got profit and loss, waterfall, and so on. What I want to just quickly do is show you how easy it is to add a new page into this report pack. And all I do is just close this down. Let's just use this particular home page. And all I do is essentially come to this feature here, which is the storyboard feature, add to the storyboard, decide on where I would like to add it. So remember I said I want to add it to the monthly management report pack. Decide on which position. So I'd like to have it after the front page. Click add page. And so now what I've actually done is added this home page as a page in my storyboard. So when I go back to the storyboard and I go to the monthly management report pack AC, front page is the first one, home page KPIs is the second one, conditional line item comments is the third, and so on. So now I've actually added very simply a new page in my report book. And as I say, if I export it, I'll make it available. But two key areas of CXO is one, the ability to share it. And this is where I can say, essentially, I want to share it with Harry Brown because he's the CFO. And I will save that. And then soon as I do that, you can see at the bottom, now it is made this particular report pack available for Harry Brown to read those 8 pages. And when he signs in and runs this particular storyboard, which is what I'm going to do now, this is exactly what he will see. He will get, first of all, a little holding page, which just allows him to make some initial settings. But let's just run it in the default mode. And the first thing you will notice is that here is the front page. We can see a little play functionality at the top. So I just toggle through to the next page. And of course, you're going to see straight away that the second page is that home page. And yes, you can see I've got the ability to do all of that wonderful ability to change it. I can go from forecast back to budget. I can even change the period view. I can change any of these settings in the storyboard mode. I can then toggle to the third one in my report pack, and here is the one that you saw me explain called conditional line item comments. And the purpose of this was just to show you that not only can CXO collect commentary in boxes at the bottom of the screen, but you also have the ability to take annotations in line with the data. So, you know, the reason is it could be, and this is in the report pack mode. So the CFO would be able to enter information here as he's reading this particular page. I can step through to the next one and so on. So you can see how effective this particular solution is to connect to your data, add the commentary when required. So I can just add the commentary as I wish here at the bottom of the box, the bottom of the screen. And then I can just save those comments. And so we can see here, it's now saved it at those point of view at the entity of here. I have the ability to roll up comments from the previous levels and so on. But in view that this was meant to be only a very short 30-minute webinar, I wanted to give you a flavor of what CXO could do. Of course, it would take much longer, maybe about an hour for us to actually do a full demonstration, but I think you've got an idea of the essence of CXO and its capability. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go from my demonstration back to the presentation, because I'd like to just take some Q&A from the audience. So let's just have a look at, if I just bring Johanni back into the conversation, and I will just check some of the questions. Johanni, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay.
I would at least ask from you that if I would like to see more of your software, how to test it? Is there a way of testing your software prior buying it?
That's a great question, Johanni, and it's quite a common question. Typically, people would start with a demonstration such as I've done today, but the true test is, what does CXO look like in a customer's environment? And the way to test that is through probably a proof of concept, where we would download our software to a server of a customer. we would connect to their data, we would build some of their dashboards that exist already in their report pack to prove that A, we can connect to the data, B, we can join multiple sources of data together, and C, we can visualize the information and capture the commentary in the way the customer wants. And that is a no obligation. It's a way of testing the solution without purchasing CXO. And we call that a proof of concept. So that answers that question, Johanni. Thank you.
How many days would that be?
So that typically takes between 3 and 5 days. The first day is connecting to the underlying data source, and then the other 4 to 5 days would be depending upon how complex the reports are, the challenges that the customer is asking us to do. So, but we would work with the customer on agreeing what that time frame is. But yes, within 1 week, you'd have CXO Cockpit up and running. And to give an example, typically we would build around about 10 dashboards in that time frame. So it is really, really quick. Now, I want to stop there because it's 31 minutes past, and we did say that this was meant to be a 30-minute webinar. So I just want to put up my final screen, which is your contact details, Johanni, my contact details on the screen. So for those people in the audience who wish to just take a quick note of our information, if you have any further questions that you weren't prepared to ask here in the webinar, then I would like to thank Johanni for inviting CXO to present today. Do you have any final words, Johanni?
No, it's just we know the clients who participate, so let's put it that way, that I will be certainly contacting them and asking about their feelings of the presentation. Thank you, Alfonso.
Thank you very much, Johanni, and have a good day, everybody, and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Johanni?